Welcome back to Morning Express. It is now 27 minutes to 8 o'clock. Time for us to look at the political point. And today we'd like to focus on political parties. And the infighting in the opposition coalition NASA is far from ending. The wrangles now threaten its existence. On the other hand, the growing disquiet and rebellion in Jubilee, especially over 2022 succession, could see the president's party join a growing list of mega parties that have exited in this country and died a natural death. Today, KANU, one-time Chama cha Baba na Mama, is struggling to redeem itself. Euphoric coalitions like NRC, PNU, CORD have come and gone. But why? Can't these political formations last and carry the vision of Kenya? Are they built on sinking sand without foundations to withstand the test of time? Welcome to the Political Point. And with me this morning, I have Professor Wajakoya. We did expect to have Barack Muluka, but he hasn't arrived, and we'll continue with the conversation. I'd like to invite you to also participate in this conversation and let us know what your thoughts are. Your questions are welcome. Your comments are welcome. You can do that via social media, but we're also going to open up the phone line so that we can hear your voice on this. And Professor Wajakoya, we've had political parties that come and go. Right now, when we look at Jubilee, when we look at NASA, it seems that immediately after the elections, the glue that holds political parties together quickly melts away. Is it because political parties are purely what someone once called special purpose vehicles that get you to a political seat, and after that, they are of no use to, those who use them?
Yes, and thank you very much for inviting me again. What I would rather say at this particular moment is that there will be no NASA, there will be no Jubilee in the next elections. All of these parties were used by people just to come to Parliament, and they are not actually ideology-based. Mm-hmm. They are more or less like politically, financially based, financial incentives. The more the money you have, make a political party and people will be attracted by what you have, if not in terms of tribal hegemony. Mm-hmm. And as I can foretell, right now, NASA is already dead. There's no doubt about that. There will be no NASA in this country again. Mm-hmm. And the Jubilee has started its death row. Probably, and I'm not very sure, but I'm just saying, probably KANU is on its way coming back slowly. Coming back slowly.
Yes. Is this formations, these political parties and these coalitions that we have, because, NASA is not a political party, but it is a coalition, are they crumbling, or do they crumble so soon after the elections by virtue of the fact that, one, they are purely for getting seats? They have no ideology, they have no formations that possibly would keep them together over the long haul.
Let me again put a footnote in the following manner. So long as we have Raila Odinga, and so long as we have Uhuru Kenyatta, the Kenyatas and the Odingas, if one of them exists, there will be no party with that kind of mayhem. It's highly likely, if not probable, that Raila's end has come, and if Raila's end has come as a political leader, mm-hmm, the ODM will die with him. Mm-hmm. If Uhuru's legacy is going to end this time, the Kenyatas will also go. But we are looking at somebody whom we don't know at the moment, who will come up and people will galvanize.
Are you saying that, for instance, Jubilee would not be able to thrive under Ruto? We've already seen proposals being put forward that Uhuru Kenyatta should remain as the leader even after, 2022. Is that because it is purely individually driven as opposed to ideology?
Jubilee is already dead as well. Look at what's going on at the moment. The ideology based on Jubilee is like, if it's not a Kikuyu, it's a Kalenjin. If it's not a Kalenjin, it's a Kikuyu. Right now, they are talking of Central Province, mm-hmm, deputizing Ruto. Will it be rotational of two tribes? From this one to this one, the way it has been from Kenyatta to Moi, back to Kenyatta, to Kibaki? No, it won't happen. And I can tell you for free that Kenyans should be ready for a new leader whom they don't even know. Mm. It could be Ruto, don't take me wrong. But it will not be the Kenyatas, and it will not be Odingas. And those ideologies will die and new parties will come up.
New parties will come up. Now, you are the founder and leader of the Roots Party.
Yes.
What is your party based on? What is the ideology? What is the thinking behind it?
We are social democrats. And given the fact that some of us have gone through transitions, different layers of life, from the street, from a street boy, from a chokora, I learned how to be smart in the streets. We know what exactly goes on in the bottom of the sky. Given the fact that some of us have also gone to Western countries, not on luxury, but as refugees, we have commingled with the lowest cadre of members of societies in those particular countries. We've done manual jobs like grave digging and security guard, and learned from within, learned also from the IRA, the Irish Republican Army. I think I was the only among the few that were members of IRA, the Irish Republican movement, and learned from what those people, those kind of ideologies are. And then also gone to School of Oriental and African Studies, which is part of University of London, that is the mother of democracy in Africa, where almost every African leader has gone into and led the student movement there, Pan-African movement. Our ideology is social-based, community-based, and let me put it this way. We are more or less like what Raila Odinga was trying to steal the idea from us. It is within our constitution of civil liberties and town hall kind of ideology, where people discuss what they want to discuss in a community-based, town hall-based meeting, and then usher in what they want, rather than a platform where development comes from the top. You are developed without knowing. Somebody's entering your head and developing you from the top coming down. Us is from the down going up and walking into the community with the community-based kind of economic ideas.
Okay. Why do you think that political parties in Kenya are not issue-based? They're not development-based. They're individual-based. And maybe this could largely do with where we are coming from, our history. And you've mentioned also the Odingas and the Kenyattas being at the helm of leadership for a long time. But why is it that this never changes over time?
It's a political hereditary kind of mentality, where the same people, same philosophy thinkers, people have come from a drum. The people who fought for independence of this country were sidelined, and people with capitalist ideologies took over, and they became entrenched in such a way that they wanted to proceed and build the same status quo, where mother lives to the daughter, father lives to the son, uncles come in. It's a Tumbo-based, family clan-based kind of politics. It's the same drums that are beating the drums. And if you find a drum beating another drum, there is an issue here. Why would we be following the same pattern? Same people. If it's not Raila, it is his son. If it's not his son, it's his what have you. If it's not Uhuru, if it's not Kenyatta, it's his son. If it's not Moi, it's his son. Nothing wrong with that, but that kind of hegemony has to be broken in one way or the other. And it's breaking. You can see even the revolts that started with the Magna Carta Treaty in 1215, where that hegemony was broken. But in Africa, we have layers that are coming up. First of all, we started with the Asian, then Asian countries disintegrating after Mahathir of Malaysia came down. We went to Singapore, we have seen that going out. Then we have gone to the Arab Revolution. Now it has come into African Revolution, whereby people from different sectors are looking at Africa and saying, well, what do we do? Look at the role of army. Don't underestimate the army. I'm not trying to pull a fuss on our country, but look at what the army has done in Zimbabwe. They came up and they said, no, hell no, we can't continue this way. Look at what's happening in Congo today. Look at what has happened in in Ethiopia, for example. It will happen also somewhere one day, but I can assure you for free that politics of hegemony has come to an end, whereby if you go to Western, you get it's either Mudavadi or the Haniris or the Namwambas. I'm not saying Ababu, but I'm just giving as an example. If you go to Coast Province, it has died completely. If you go to Kisii, Kisiis were coming up with George Anyona, but they have not come up with somebody to replace the caliber of Anyona.
But even with those divisions that you're talking about and those leaders, kingpins as we call them, they're tribal-based. They're almost like tribal lords, to a point where how do we move away from that tribal leaning? And just hold that thought, because I want to come back to that. But let me take a call, and I'm going to be reading some of your comments that are coming through via Twitter, so keep them coming. But let me take a call from Elizabeth Onyango in Oyugis. Good morning, Elizabeth, to your comment or question.
Good morning. Good
morning.
How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Carry on.
I have a problem. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I have a problem. I have a boy who passed school. He did a private.
Okay, unfortunately, the call is not very clear. Can you repeat what you said, Elizabeth?
Okay, nasema niko na mtoto alifanya mtihani na alipita vizuri. Sasa vile vijana hiyo namba hiyo niliona ni kama tunaweza nisaidia.
All right, I think that is on a totally different subject right there. Elizabeth, what we're talking about here is political parties and their formations, and whether you know the ideology for your political party. Do let us know what your thoughts are, and whether you think in Kenya we need to get to a point where parties are not driven by tribes or kingpins or individuals, but are driven by ideology. I have, well, a text here from, or not a text, but a tweet from Evelyn, who says that I'd say, don't hold your breath. History teaches us that we do not vote for values. Rather, it is people that we vote for. And there's Paul Omolo, who says both, okay, we have, let me see if I can skip that. Dr. Kalabusia says, I tweeted, okay, this is about the accident that took place. Samuel Orutwa says that political ideologies in Kenya, politics to its members, sounds strange, because in Kenya, politics ideas add no value to fame or party, just exist as requirements of registration of political parties, but the rest, where do you come from? All right, let us take a call from Bosire, who is calling from Mombasa. Good morning. Kindly turn your television volume off so that we're able to communicate. Bosire from Mombasa, you may proceed with your question or comment. All right, we seem not to be communicating there. I'll read another tweet here from Korir Leni, who says, good morning. I think political parties and ideologies are a strange thing to Kenyans. We follow tribes and individuals. Looking at this, Professor, it looks like majority of Kenyans have almost resigned to fate, that is the way it is. Is that something that can be changed?
It can be changed, and the only person who can change is an outsider. Somebody like Ruto can change if he wants to.
When you say outsider, what do you mean? Somebody
who comes from the outside, the hegemonian clans, or the Odingas and the Uhurus. If somebody else breaks that myth, let me say Ruto, for example, if he can come out and say, look, well, I'm going to base my ideology on this and build it from there, probably. Somebody like us, not me in person, but us, you and me, can come up and stand firm and say, we want to go this way, fine. But one of the main fundamental issues that has happened, and probably this is where it ought to have been, if you look at the countries with the political parties that have had some kind of ideologies, you find out that the members of those political parties were either people from the anti-apartheid era, anti-revolutionary era, or people who were in exile. You look at Kagame, for example, the Rwandese, they've lived out of their country forever. They came together and went back, and they went with ideas to build their country based on economic development and what they had borrowed from outside. If you look at Israel, for example, Israel, which became Israel in 1967 after the Israeli Golan War, the Israelis went back with the ideologies they borrowed ideologies from outside, and they built Israel. And you can see Israel being one of the most strongest countries in the world. Look at South Africa, for example, where political parties were formed in the mines, and people came up with a mindset. With that long period of Mandela being, with the freedom fighters being in prison, they came up with an ideology and said, this is what we are. I'm going out of the pits, of the prison, put the country together and leave the country to other people to govern. But here, once you take it, you now want to bring in big mouths around you to square with your opponents instead of bringing your opponents in the bin and then start stealing from whoever you are governing, make rules and laws that oppress other people, and people will forget about you. So ideology is something that cannot just come from wherever. It has to come from somebody who has gone through something.
Okay. They need to have a story behind it. Now, break down the idea of ideology. What exactly is ideology when we're talking about ideology? Because with our politicians, they would tell us that they actually do have ideology behind their parties. And this ideology may come through in form of promises that they make during their campaigns. But is that really what forms the ideology? Is it the promises that they're making?
Why can't we say it this way? Reverse the coin and look at it in reverse psychology. And look at the first government of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And look at the kind of ideology at that particular time. And look at the 5-year development plan at that particular time, which made Kenya to be a beacon of international healthcare, in that every homestead in this country was catered for by healthcare facilities, where we had affordable healthcare and mobile healthcare to treat for free the people as well as their animals. If you look at the education at that particular time, Kenya's education was very high, based on the ideology of the party, of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And you'll find out that even the infrastructure at that particular time, when we didn't have enough schools, enough money and what have you, was up to date. People are living happy, people are getting treatment for free, people are going to school almost for free. Now, if it's at that particular time that we had that freedom of freedoms, of free goodies based on ideologies of the party, what happened? Why can't we reverse the current system and go into the former president of this country, the founding father of this nation, and embrace that ideology? Was it because Jaramogi Oginga Odinga's ideology and Kenyatta's ideology on development was more or less at par? Because one was the president, one was vice president, though for a short time. Was it because Tom Mboya came up with the labor movement ideology and infused into the system at that particular time? Was it because Dr. J.G. Kiano came up with some ideas from Cyprus University in New York and brought those ideas here? Was it because the likes of Mbui Koinange, who had actually lived in exile, lived in America where they were studying, not exile, where they were studying, and they came back with different ideologies? Was it because those few people who came up, having come from outside the country with ideas, that were able to hold this country together? Or is it just one of the things that anyone can be a cabinet secretary today? Anyone, so long as you sing the music of the government, then you are in it. And then you kill the ideology because you want to actually subdue yourself into loyalty. The higher you sing, the higher the pedestal, in which case ideologies go away.
So if the ideologies worked previously from what you're quoting, where did the rain start beating us? Did our leaders suddenly become selfish?
They became greedy. They started amassing wealth. They put human rights into despair. They put people in prisons. They destroyed the infrastructure that Mzee Jomo Kenyatta had put there. And it will take a man or a woman in this country of very high understanding to bring this country to where it was during Mzee Jomo Kenyatta's days. Uhuru is trying, but he has come out with 4 pillars. Has he asked the people to participate in these 4 pillars, or is it top-down kind of development? Something that has failed by, let me say, when the World Bank went into Brazil, into Argentina in 1964 to develop those countries, to live there, to find out what kind of development they wanted. And then they came up with this kind of pigment of development without asking the people what they wanted. And that's exactly what Uhuru is doing. Uhuru is coming from top with a very big hammer, slashing it down. This is what I want you to do. Instead of coming from down, going up like what his father did. He should actually reverse his thinking and go down in the process and have community-based projects. Let people, per court, say, look, you can't come to give us what you don't want. Our culture dictates to us that we are animal herders. Do something that can sustain our animals. Let us have irrigation. Let us change our mindset slowly, but let's keep our cattle. You can't come here and then build schools for us overnight. Something like what happened with the Bushmen in Botswana, where the Botswana government in 1969 decided to round out all the Bushmen and put them in hospitals, in schools, and what have you. 50% of them died under the habitat.
All right, you are a leader of a party. How would you influence and change our thinking and, through the ideology of your party, help Kenya build, or rather help Kenya become a better place, especially when it comes to our governance system?
Let the people decide. Give the people the mandate to decide what they want. Let them chart their way forward and just give the guideline where necessary. But we believe in community-based development. For example, now if you look at our party, you find out that we are registered in 32 counties, but we have fully been complied with 26 counties. Our chairman is from Pokot. Our women leader is from Kisii. And as we speak today, the Roots Party scooped the women leadership. We beat ODM, we beat Jubilee, we beat anyone from any other party to scoop the Women Caucus, which is the most powerful caucus group under the umbrella of PPLC, Political Parties Liaison Committee, which is actually which is constituted within the Constitution. So why did women come to elect somebody from the Roots Party? That means that people are embracing what we have, but we are doing our things silently.
Okay. What advice would you give to Kenyans as you wind up, and also include your closing comments?
Well, at the moment, we are actually going through a turmoil. The rule of law is in dispute. Court orders are not being respected, followed. And sounding a warning to those in establishment to go it slow, because whatever you do today, the kind of bed you are laying today, you lie on it tomorrow. It's also biblical in the Old Testament. Let the government go it slow on its cracking on the opposition. Let people exercise their freedoms. If you find out that somebody has made a mistake, take him to the court of law and let the courts deal with that person. Kenyans, particularly the current regime, go it slow.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Wajakoya, for joining us this morning. And that's where we end Political Point this morning. And at this point, we would like to also release our KTN Home viewers. Life and Style is going to begin. Right here on KTN News, we're going to take a short break, and we'll also be looking at the weather. But when we come back, we'll be looking at your money. So do stay with us right here on KTN News. For KTN Home, goodbye.
This is KTN News.